I was delighted and impressed. So impressed, I bought the company. So impressed, I bought the company. I bought the company.
Hi and welcome to LastWatch. As you can see, I've had another delivery. Don't be fooled by the Royal Mail postage. Today's watch has come from much further afield. I've taken the liberty of removing my personal details and opening the box, but its contents are yet to be unpacked. My plan is to use the magic of editing to do an all-in-one unboxing and review. What will be a matter of minutes for you will be a week or more for me. Hopefully the reference to Victor Khayyam will become clear. Now let's get on with the unboxing. Well, we have a multitude of what I think are called packing peanuts. It's just a shame it's not popcorn. And here we have a Pelly style case. And the more observant of you will have already noticed the Steeldive sticker, which has been rather loosely applied to the case. We'll get this case open in a jiffy. Let's see what else is in the box. We have a pin removing tool, an indication as to what might be hidden in the case. And a business card from Steeldive UK. Today's watch has been loaned to me by Matthew Bergen, who is an authorised dealer for Steeldive watches. I will explain more in the review portion of today's video, but if you're looking for a Steeldive watch without the headache, worries and wait time associated with a Chinese dealer, then Steeldive UK might be the better option. It's safe to say that if you order a Steeldive watch, you can be assured it will arrive well protected in its case. Well, I guess it's time to unveil today's watch. Then again, it looks like you're going to have to wait a moment or two. We seem to have an additional strap here, a rubber dive strap. Not only that, but we also have a spring bar tool remover. It seems that Steeldive UK are really spoiling me with the accessories, and I think this is standard for their customers. It's not that I'm getting special treatment. I think Matthew prides himself on customer service. Finally, we get to see today's watch, the Steeldive 1970. And it's a heavy bugger too. I look forward to getting this one on the scales. In the meantime, I'll put it to one side and give my biceps a rest. And lastly, we have the Steeldive warranty card, which has its own individual number. Now this is a warranty card for Steeldive International and not Steeldive UK. The warranty and returns policy with Steeldive UK is something I will need to explain in greater detail in the review portion of today's video. The Steeldive SD 1970 is a homage to the Seiko 6105-8110, better known as the Captain Willard, for its cameo appearance on Martin Sheen's wrist in the movie Apocalypse Now. The original 6105s were produced from 1970 through to 1977 and proved popular with US servicemen during the Vietnam War, with many choosing the tough, affordable Seiko over the Army-issue field watch alternatives from the likes of Ben Roos and Hamilton. No doubt helped by its starring role in what is now considered one of the best movies ever made, the perfect 6105 is a grail for many watch collectors. It was only a matter of time before Seiko gave it a 21st century update and reissue, which they did in 2019 when they launched the SLA 033. Sadly, it was limited to only 2,500 units and was priced in excess of $4,000, which put it well out the reach of your regular GI. More recently, Seiko have produced a more affordable reissue with a slightly smaller SPB 151 and the SPB 153, which are $1,000 or more depending on the variant you choose. The SD 1970 costs a little more than $100 or £100. That's a tenth of the price of the cheapest Seiko. Is it a price worth paying? I'll get the plastic off this bracelet and get it resized for my wrist. Keep watching to see where you should spend your money. About a month ago, on the back of several recent Chinese watch reviews, one of you subscribers suggested I check out Steeldive UK. Now it turns out this was quite fortuitous. The bulk of you seem to be big fans of affordable Chinese homages, but I've also had feedback that highlighted long delivery times, quality control issues, a lack of customer support and dubious warranty cover. I was considering picking up a watch from San Martin or Steeldive to see if breaking that £100 Chinese threshold got you a better watch. Hearing about Steeldive UK seemed like perfect timing. I contacted Steeldive UK and asked if they would consider sending me a watch for review. I got a quick reply from Matthew, who said that he would be happy to send me the SD1970, which he tells me is his best seller. Since that initial email, I've had quite a lot of contact with Matthew and a rather lengthy telephone conversation. Matthew has had a career in sales. He's a bit old school and considers the customer to be king. By chance, he bought a couple of watches from Steeldive from their AliExpress website and was blown away by the quality of the product. He saw a business opportunity and, a bit like Victor Khayyam, he bought some stock and dabbled for a while selling on eBay, which I gather can be quite restrictive. He took the plunge this year, and after discussion with Steeldive, it was agreed that he would become their UK authorised dealer. The Steeldive UK website soon followed. Allowing for exchange rates, there seems to be very little difference, if any, in the price you pay for a Steeldive UK watch over the AliExpress option. And courtesy of Matthew, you can use the discount code LastWatch5 to shave another £5 off the cost of your watch. After all, every penny counts. If you're in the UK, the watch will be delivered in a matter of days, not weeks. Matthew will also ship to Europe for an additional cost, and worldwide for your international customers that preferred not to buy from AliExpress. With regards to warranty, you get a 30-day returns policy and a 6-month guarantee. 6 months seemed quite short, and it's something I asked Matthew to explain. He tells me that he inspects all his stock visually before distribution. If a watch has a technical issue within the 6 months, he will get it repaired here in the UK. 12 months cover leaves him open to receiving a near-year-old watch that has been put through the ringer. I suspect if your 10-month-old Steeldive 1970 has spent most of its time in a watch rotation and in a watch box, then Matthew will be happy to get it looked at if it develops a problem. In any case, Matthew seems to be very approachable and more than happy to communicate with his customers. He prides himself on customer satisfaction. Well, that's enough about Steeldive UK. I guess we'd better check out the SD1970 and see if it's any good. Let's start with its specifications. It has a diameter of 43.7mm and a lug width of 19.8mm. The lug to lug is a very compact 46.6mm and the case is 13.4mm thick. Size for my 7-inch wrist minus a whopping 5 links, it weighs in at 166.5 grams. The Steeldive SD1970 has a 316L stainless steel asymmetrical cushion style case. Ergonomically, it may well be the most comfortable and well fitted watch design on the market. It quite literally moulds itself to my wrist. It's like someone made a jelly watch, tipped it out onto my wrist and allowed it to set. There's no glaring gaps or protrusions, and due to its short lug to lug length and bezel diameter of 41.5mm, it gives the appearance of being a somewhat smaller watch than its 44mm diameter would suggest. The top of the case has a circular brushing, then a well-defined lip switches to the bottom of the case, which is highly polished. The symmetry of the case is rather subtly disturbed by a hip on the right side to provide guards for the crown, which is completely encompassed and protected from any harm. The crown is well machined, and when screwed down it sits flush at its outer edge with the case guards. It's perfectly proportioned and signed with the Steeldive logo. The bezel has a true coin edge straight finish, very easy to grip and turns unidirectionally and also smoothly through 120 clicks. Its top surface is polished, which frames and flatters a black ceramic insert. The insert has a full minute scale marked by 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 minute markers, batons for the 5-minute markers and dot indices for the remaining minutes. There's an inverted triangle at the 12 o'clock position. There is a raised flat sapphire crystal with a definite blue hue, which would suggest some sort of anti-reflective coating may have been applied. Below this crystal we find a dark grey, almost black rehaut that leads us to a matte black dial, which has a very legible white printed chapter ring around its perimeter. The dial has applied silver-framed oblong markers, which are filled with an off-white cream-coloured C3 luminova. They vary in size depending on their location. Larger oblongs at the 6 and 9, mini oblongs denoting the remaining hours. The only exceptions being the 12 o'clock position, which has a double-frame chevron shape and a silver-framed date window at the 3 o'clock position. The date itself is black Arabics on a white date wheel. Just below the 12 o'clock position is a white printed Steeldive logo underlined by the Steeldive name. Above the 6 o'clock baton, we have 2 lines of printed text stating that this watch is an automatic and water resistant to 200 meters. The majority of this text is white, with the exception of the 200 meters, which is red. Overall, this is a very clean, well-balanced dial. There are polished silver fence posts for the hour and minute hands, which are filled with C3 lume. The seconds hand is a slim polished silver stick with a traffic light paddle tip that sweeps steadily around the dial. In good light you get to see a red stop sign, which complements the red 200 meters on the dial. Low light allows the lume tip to glow and you get a solid green for go. I'll drop in a lume shot here where you might be surprised to discover the overabundance of lume on this watch, as the white paint on the ceramic bezel also contains BGW9. The traditionalist in me wouldn't have considered buying a fully lumed dial and bezel, but this has given me some food for thought with regards to future purchases. Turning the watch over, we get to see a solid screw-down case back. Refreshingly, this is my first Chinese watch not to include a display case back. What it does give you is the opportunity to have a good look at a very bold Steeldive logo. If you have any information on whether this was stamped or engraved, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Now, the first time I saw the Steeldive logo, I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. I thought it might be a stormtrooper's helmet or a duck. It turns out that Steeldive have 3 different logos depending on which watch line you choose. This one is their green marine, which shows a diver's mask, air tank and flippers. They also have a military diver and an army engineer diver. Let me know if you have all 3. Around the case back we have some limited information on the watch. Steeldive, all stainless steel, automatic movement NH35, dive 200 meters. If it wasn't already clear, this watch has a stated water resistance of 200 meters. The hidden workhorse of the SD1970 is a Seiko NH35. It's an automatic movement with 24 joules and a beat rate of 21,600 an hour, which translates to a second hand that ticks at 6 ticks a second. It hacks and hand winds, has a bidirectional winding rotor and a power reserve of more than 40 hours. It has a patented die shock system and a quick set date complication. I've been wearing this watch steadily over the last week and its accuracy has improved every day. It's gone from +9 seconds to +3 seconds per day. Proof, I guess, that watch movements, like car engines, need a little bit of bedding in time. The bracelet is an almost entirely brushed stainless steel Jubilee, the exception being the outer edge links, which are polished. It has female solid end links which don't add any length to the watch case. It starts at 20mm at the lugs and tapers to 18mm at the buckle. The buckle is unadorned and has a simple fold over safety and double push button release, which reveals a pressed metal deployant. The adjustable links have split pins which are easily removed, maybe a little bit too easy. There are no half links, but there is some micro adjustment on the buckle. Getting a good fit should be straightforward. The bracelet has some movement between the links. Overall, it's not bad on a watch that costs so little. It's not exceptional in any way and could be improved on, but it does everything you need it to do. You could argue for a Steeldive logo on the buckle to give it a sense of identity or even embellishment, but it's not really a necessity and I've become quite accustomed to its clean look. However, if you're not a fan of the bracelet, then you're in luck, as the SD1970 also comes with an isofrane rubber strap that is emblazoned up to the max with Steeldive rubber keepers, a Steeldive branded metal buckle and a green marine logo on the strap tongue, though I suspect many of you will treat this watch to a waffle style dive strap, which I understand may be a Steeldive UK option by the time this review goes to air. A few weeks ago I was sat in a Seiko boutique contemplating whether I should treat myself to the new SPB 151 Captain Willard. Even with a 15% discount, that watch was going to cost just north of £1,000. It was then I thought about getting a homage to try it on the wrist, and if it suited me, I'd splash out on the real deal. It's pure chance that I've ended up with the SD1970, and I'm struggling to find anything negative to say about it at the price. The lines have been somewhat blurred because this is a Seiko homage with a Seiko NH35 movement, which comes very close to a Seiko reinterpretation. Imagine if we lived in a world where you could buy a Rolex homage with an outdated Rolex movement. Tell me you wouldn't be tempted. The Steeldive SD 1970 may not have the refinement or the improved movement of the SPB 151, and it certainly doesn't come with a 5-year warranty. If you've got the cash and want an authentic Seiko logo on the dial, then I wouldn't blame you for picking one up. It's a fantastic watch, but £1,000 doesn't even get you a signed crown. If you're looking for the real deal, then why not go the whole hog and search for an original 6105? I just hope you have deep pockets. Apart from a mediocre bracelet, I've not found any issues with the Steeldive that you would normally associate with a Chinese watch. No misalignment, dodgy bezels, spurious text or shoddy paint applications. The crown threads beautifully and it's a pleasure to wind, and the rotor noise is negligible. Now, I'm not saying that the Steeldive is a perfect watch. I could certainly ask for more. A lume pip on the bezel, drilled lugs, an applied Steeldive logo on the dial, and a 2-year warranty would seal the deal and make this a staggering watch. The SD 1970 was loaned to me for review at my bequest. I'm not on any kind of kickback. I just welcome the opportunity to get my hands on another brand, and I like the British connection. Unfortunately, I find myself surprisingly smitten by what we like to call the value proposition here, and for the sake of £100, I think I'd be a fool not to keep this watch. I suspect Matthew knew that I would find it hard to let go of the Steeldive after getting my hands on one, which is why he was more than willing to provide one for this review. I guess I always have the excuse that I could do a 6-month review or 12 months on the wrist should I choose to keep it. If you're a fan of the SD 1970 or any of the Steeldive range, then be sure to use my discount code for a saving on any future purchases from Steeldive UK. I may even use it myself. Let me know what you think of Steeldive, and if you've done business with Steeldive UK. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video.